All right, scholars, your due now for today asks you to reflect on the end of module assessment that you took last Tuesday. Today we're going to be going over it, looking at how each question should have been answered, and filling out assessment corrections about what the question was asking, how many points you earned, and any mistakes you could have made. So I'm going to start with number 3. A store is having a sale to celebrate President's Day. Every item in the store is advertised as 1/5 off the original price. If an item is marked with a sale price of $140, what was its original price? Show your work. So this question is asking what the original price is, and they've already given us the sale price and the discount, which is 1/5 off. Some common mistakes I saw in this problem were that you thought I was going to take 1/5 off of 140, but that's not what's happening here. I'm taking 1/5 off of the original price, which will give me 140. So I'm going to draw a picture because that helps me. Make sure you drew a picture. The original price is what the discount gets taken off of. So the original price gets 1/5 off. And the sale price is 140. That's whatever's left after 1/5 has been taken off. So that's this. There's a couple different ways you could have done this. You could have said, okay, well, 140 divided by 4 is 35. 35, 35, 35, 35, 35. And add it up. 35 times 5 is 175. You also could have just said, okay, well, let's say 140 is 4/5. I'm looking for what the whole thing would be. So 140 times 5/4, the opposite. 140 times 5/4, let's see, it's the same thing as dividing by 4 and multiplying by 5. I get 175. Make sure that you drew a picture. You didn't get confused between where 140 was coming from. You didn't multiply by the wrong thing. I saw a lot of people just taking 140 and multiplying by 5 or multiplying by 1/5. That's just going to tell us what the fifth is. That's not going to tell us the original price, which is the whole thing, 175. All right, let's look on to number 4. A few of you got confused by the fact that number 4 has a lot of parts. So number 4 starts here, and then we have A, and on the next page, B, C, and D, and on the next page, E, F, G, and H. So they're all coming from the same piece of information here on number 4. Over the break, your uncle and aunt asked you to help them cement the foundation of their newly purchased land and give you a top view blueprint of the area and proposed layout. A small legend on the corner states that 4 inches of the length corresponds to an actual length of 52 feet. So I should have seen you making a table, and this question here is asking, what is the scale factor of the actual to the blueprint? I know that in class we learned that if I see a question that says what is the scale factor of the blank to the blank, I'm going to divide. So I'm going to take the length of the actual foundation and divide by the length of the blueprint. Actual foundation is 52 feet, and the blueprint is 4 inches. So I need to first convert this to the same unit. "52 feet, 52 times 12 See if you can do that one by yourself. $624 divided by 4 . $156. So that tells me for every 1 inch on the blueprint, it's 156 inches in real life. So they wanted you to give 1 over 156 as the scale factor of the blueprint, because the blueprint is 1/56 the lengths of the actual foundation. 1/156th. I gave some points to people who said, okay, well, this is 13 times bigger, so maybe it's 13 or 1 over 13. That might be why you got a few points but not all the points. Or if you said, I know it needs to be 4 over 52, that's fine. That might be why you got a few points but not all the points, because they need to be in the same units. All right, get ready to flip the page. Part B says if the dimensions of the foundation on the blueprint are 11 inches by 13 inches, notice that's on the blueprint, what are the actual dimensions in feet? So they're asking you to find the actual dimensions in feet. And they gave you the dimensions of the blueprint. You could draw a picture and say the blueprint is 11 by 13. I know that my scale factor is 1 over 156. So that means that to get bigger, I can multiply times 56 to get the number of inches. But they're looking for feet. If I look back, I know that 4 inches on the blueprint was 52 feet in real life. So that means 1 inch on the blueprint will be 13 feet in real life. So I can take however many inches and multiply times 13 to get however many feet in real life. I can take however many inches and multiply times 13 to get the feet in real life. 11 times 13 should have given you 143, and 13 times 13 gives you 169. So you would say the dimensions, notice there should be 2 dimensions, one side and the other side, are 143 feet by 169 feet. If you had 143 written somewhere on your paper, I gave you 2 points for having half of it. Part C says you are asked to go buy bags of dry cement and know that 1 bag covers 350 square feet. How many bags do you need to finish this project? This question is asking if I know the total area of the foundation, how many bags will cover that area? So I know that the total foundation has some sort of area, and that a bag will cover 350 square feet. And I want to know if I pour a bag and it covers 350 and I pour another bag, covers another 350, keep going, how many bags am I going to need? So first I need to find the total area of the foundation, which I can do using the dimensions that I just had because I know that the area of a rectangle is length times width. So 143 times 169 A lot of people I saw struggled with just doing this. You knew that you needed to do this, but then the multiplying was a little off. Remember, if I'm multiplying times a 3-digit number, first I multiply times the 9, then I put a 0 here and multiply them all times the 6, then I put 2 zeros and multiply them all times the 1, and I make sure my numbers line up so I don't add wrong. I even saw some people who made a silly mistake of this was shifted, so they did 8 plus 0 rather than 7 plus 0. 5, 8, 11, 10, 14. That makes 24,167 square feet is the total area of the whole foundation. So if the total area is 24,167 square feet, then I can divide by this area to see how many would fit in there. I saw a lot of scholars made it to this point and then were struggling. How do I divide by 350? I saw a lot of people multiplying 350 all over their page times a bunch of different numbers. Something that I do to try to help me is I know, okay, if I'm looking at this, it's not going to fit in. So I know it's not 350 times 100. 350 times 100 would be 35,000, but it's definitely smaller than that. So I know it's not going to be a 1 here, it's going to be something smaller over here. I can figure out how many times 350 goes into 2,416, and then I can try to figure out what goes here and move on. I know if I'm trying to find out how many times 350 goes into 2,416, I can think about how many times 3 goes into 24, which is 8, but it's a little more than that. I can try to guess and check. 350 times 5 makes 1750, so it's going to be more than that. 350 times 8 makes 2,800, so it's going to be less than that, probably somewhere in the middle. Okay, it's not as big as 2,450, so we're going to go with 6, because 350 times 6 makes 2,100. I subtract and bring down the 7. I already know that 350 times 8 is 2,800, so this is going to be bigger than that. But it's not going to be as big as 10 because that'd be 3,500. So let's try 9. That's 45. Oops. 9 times 5 is 45, plus 4 is 49. See, even I make mistakes, and that might have been why you messed up. 3 times 9 is 27, plus 4 is 31. 3190, that's too big. So we're going to go with 8. Well, is it? 0. 5 times 9 is 45, 49. 3 times 9 is 27, 31, 3190. Yeah, we're going to go with 68. think this should have got 69. I might be doing this wrong. So we get, 3167. There we go. 69 rounds up to 70. Sorry, that should be 9. Because if I need 69 point something bags, then I need 70 bags. So you should have gotten the answer of 70 bags. If you got 69, I gave you 3 points probably. If you weren't sure how to set this up at all, I probably gave you 1 point if you could tell me why. So 143, let me just check on my calculator, make sure we did everything right. 24,167, that's right. Divided by 350 makes 69.048, whatever. So 69 point more than 69 means that I need 70 bags. Did I do this wrong? 350 times 9 makes 3150. Wow, I'm all sorts of backwards. It's because the 4 should have gone there. That's what it was. All right. See, Miss Haddad makes mistakes too. And then I check it to make sure that I did everything correctly. Okay. Some of you are probably watching this video going, duh, Miss Haddad, we were waiting for you to catch that. All right. Part D. After the first 15 minutes of laying down the cement, you have used 1/5 of the bag. What is the rate in bags per hour? And then it also asks what is the unit rate. So it's asking for the rate in bags per hour. And it's asking for the unit rate, which is the same number, but we just don't put bags per hour. I loved how I saw a lot of you drawing a picture. Like, I know that I'll have used 1/5 of the bag in 15 minutes. So 30, 45, 60 minutes is an hour. That's 4/5 of the bag. I also saw some scholars just make a table and say, okay, 15, 30, 45, 60, 1/5, 2/5, 3/5, 4/5. I also saw, this would be minutes and bag. I also saw some scholars say, oh, bags per hour. That tells me I'm going to take bags and I'm going to divide by hours. Some of you, though, forgot. 15 is not how many hours, it's how many minutes. So hours, this is 1/4 of an hour. Keep, change, flip, that makes 4/5. When you're done with that, flip the page. For part E, it says write an equation. That's the first thing we see when we read this problem is that I need to write an equation, which is something with an equal sign. Equation means equals. A lot of you I saw were still just trying to figure out the constant of proportionality, and your big struggle on part E was that you did not read it and did not know what it was asking. So check to make sure that you know an equation. Anytime in this unit, when we saw it said write an equation, it should have been an equation like this, y equals kx. And that number that went there is whatever the unit rate is, whatever the constant of proportionality is, whatever the rate is, whatever you want to call it, it doesn't matter. That's the number that we found. If you wrote an equation that looked like this, but there was just some number here that was wrong, then I probably gave you 2 points. If you did not remember to write an equation at all, you either got 1 or 0 points, depending on what you put. In the last problem, I just found the rate is 4/5 bags per hour, unit rate is 4/5. So this was super simple. All you need to do is write y equals 4/5 x. And that's your answer. For part F, It says your uncle is able to work faster than you. He uses 3 bags for every 2 bags you use. Is the relationship proportional? Explain your reasoning. Explain using a graph on a coordinate plane. If you did not have a graph, you did not do so hot on this problem. You needed to have a graph showing that your uncle uses 3 bags for every 2 bags that you use. So uncle depends on how many you use. Let's see, he uses 1, 2, 3 for every 1, 2 you use. He uses 1, 2, 3 for every 1, 2 you use. Make sure that your points actually lined up. You could have made a table to see what could go in there. It should be 2, 3, 4, 6. These are going by 2s. These are going by 3s. And it does make sense that if your uncle uses 0 and you use 0, right? So I would say the relationship is proportional. Notice if you had a perfect graph and everything was great, but you did not explain, you probably didn't get the full 4 points. You could have said something about the rate, or because the graph forms a straight line through the origin. For part G, it asks you, what does 0, 0 represent in terms of the situation being described by the graph? So you needed to describe what 0, 0 represents in terms of the situation. In terms of the situation means that you're not just telling me it's the origin. You're telling me what does 0 mean and what does the other 0 mean for x and for y. Up here we're comparing the bags that your uncle uses to the bags that you use. So in terms of this situation, it means you use 0 bags. Your uncle uses 0 bags. Part H asks, using a graph, show how many bags you would use if your uncle uses 18 bags. So this question is asking how many you would use if your uncle uses 18, and it asks you to use a graph. A lot of you I saw didn't go back and look at your graph, or you didn't even have a graph here. You could have drawn a new graph, but you didn't absolutely need to. If your uncle uses 18, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 would be way out here. And you could have seen how far I would go up here to line up with the line. I also saw some people counting you, your uncle, just like I did up here. I know that if I'm counting by 2s here and 3s there, my uncle uses 18. I should have found that he uses 12 bags. So when I use 2, he uses 3. When I use 4, he uses 6. When I use 6, he uses 9. 8, he uses 12. 10, he uses 15. And the question is asking me, how many do I use when he uses 18? So I use 12. All right, great job. Make sure you fill out your test corrections for today. Do your best. Go back and watch any part of this video if you need to.